Hi everyone, Heather Smith here, your Australian Federation Party candidate for Page. I've just been down the paddock moving some cattle, wet hair, it's been raining a little, and reflecting on how to vote cards and who they serve. Do they serve you or do they serve the candidate? And the short answer is they serve the candidate, or they serve the party, or they serve the topic that they think is most important. Now, an example is, and they're not also always particularly well researched. So if your primary candidate doesn't get in, then you need to think about who your second best candidate is, and regardless of your candidate's how to vote card, put that second best person in your number 2 spot. Because that's the only way, if you lose on your first preference, you have a chance of contributing to your second preference. So if you've done your research and your second preferred candidate has been placed further down the line on your preferred first candidate's how to vote, be a bit disobedient here. Most people like having an easy solution and the instructional order on how to go, but there's not necessarily a great deal of thought put into the card or research put into the card beyond the essential survival strategy of that candidate. So in my case, I know that I have been placed very low on Kevin Hogan's how to vote card. And in hindsight, it was probably a blue on their part. I'm a farmer. The Nationals is a farmer's party. Yet I've been placed very, very low. I'm a conservative. I've lived rural and regional all my life. I've got an agricultural degree. I've worked across all forms of agriculture. But how did the Nationals decide to put me down the order? They didn't ring me. They didn't speak with me. They didn't speak with my party. I doubt they looked at our website. What they referred to, and I have this as first-hand information, but I want you to understand how self-serving this is, particularly with the major parties. So the Indie, or one of the other newspapers, I can't quite remember who, I think it was the Indie originally, asked the candidates a series of questions, and one of them was, who do you look up to or admire in politics? And in that document, I think I gave 2, if not 3 answers. One was Tanya Davies, the New South Wales MP, and I think she's a LNP. She's in the government, so she's an LNP or a Conservative government politician. Another was Senator Gerard Rennick, who's an LNP senator for Queensland in the federal government. Not sure if Gerard got mentioned in that article, but the third person I definitely did mention was Janelle Saffin. And I think Janelle's done a good job of speaking up and harassing. She's in opposition. She's got a really hard spot to fill. It's hard in opposition in the majority government to raise a voice for your community, but I think she's being dogged and determined and consistent in performing for her people and being outspoken. And she's also been quite easy to contact for me when I've reached out to her state office and said, I have this issue or that issue. She's someone who's rung me back, someone who's had a yarn, someone who's had staff that are effective. I can respect that. I can look up to that. I've never voted Labor in my life. But the Nationals research team somehow dropped onto that I'd mentioned Janelle as someone to respect in politics. And that was what put me low down the ballot paper. I have that as first-hand. So be disobedient, do your own research and think about who you really feel would be a good MP. Your first best MP and your second best MP, and make sure they are your 1-2 no matter who they be. Now, as a naive novice in political, I've never stood for politics before. I'd rather be on my farm. I actually don't have any aspirations to be a politician. I see this as my national service. So with my how to vote card, I've got Tom Searle as my number 2 and Ian Williamson as my number 3. Now, they are consistent with my views on certain topics, so it is strategic to preserve our political intent about key issues that those 2 are at the top of the ticket, and that's particularly about a Bill of Rights and personal freedoms and government overreach in our lives. And the other reason I've comfortably put those 2 at the top of my ticket is that I have met those gentlemen in the course of the election campaign. It's been quite a bit of time with them, and I know they are solid people who will chart their own course and not be beholden to the party line. So those were pretty important qualities for me to say, well, if my electorate can't have me or doesn't put me up, who do I think are the next best people for this role, both policy based, but also with individual characteristics that mean that they'll commit to doing a good job for their electorate. So how to vote cards. There's a lot more under the hood on those. I would love to see the AEC build a website like Put the Majors Last has. Now, there are a lot of people out here there who are big supporters of the major parties, and that's fine. No, that's a choice they've made. So why isn't there a website where we can design our own how to vote cards? Put the Majors Last has designed it for a particular strategy. You can go on there if you've done your research and design your own how to vote card. Shuffle people around and put them where you like. The only thing it won't let you do, or the only thing I should say it forces you to do, is put the major parties at the bottom of the card. So that's the Greens, Liberals, Nationals and Labor are forced to the bottom of the card on the Put the Majors Last website. But the AEC should do something similar so that you could do your research, go onto the AEC, design your own how to vote card, print that out so you've got a visual reminder, head along to the polling booth and do it your way. Cheers, guys. See ya.